You ever come out in the desert and just kind of sit and listen? It's quiet. There's nothing. Just completely dead silence. And it's a good time to reflect on things. It's kind of what I'm doing out here today, just taking a run through the mountains and thinking about things. And I thought I'd do a quick video on my iPhone, so I apologize if there's any quality or sound issues. But I wanted to take a second and talk about us, talk about a society of people that could be possibly in danger. And I know that is very controversial right now. And the biggest question to us is, what's your stance? What's your stance? What do we do? What's the situation? Well, we're not going to turn this into an opinion transfer channel, because that's not what this is. This is a knowledge transfer channel. So I want to try to keep it along those lines and talk to you from our experience and what we can talk to. And it's because we feel confident that we can make this statement because of knowledge, because we've educated ourselves to the best that we can on the subject, because we do have a voice. People do want to hear from us, and so that's what this is. Now, of course, I'd much rather be spending my time doing knowledge transfer on weapons manipulation or survival tips or new gear announcements, or talking about how to use current gear out there from ourselves or other companies, and preventing this. However, we can't prevent this. This is inevitable. And if you look at future, you look at history, look at what's happening, look at what has happened, it'll tell you a lot if you just listen to it. But be careful what you listen to. And those are a couple learning points that I want to keep in this knowledge transfer to you as we talk about some of the realities here. Let's take a look at the past. Okay, let's go back in time a little bit. And I don't want to turn this into a history lesson, because there's lots of great, credible resources out there, whether it's on YouTube or the internet, people, writers, books. Educate yourself. Do your homework. So I'm not gonna get into the deep history there, but I do want you to understand that if you're an American, you might want to know the history of this country. You might want to know what it was founded on. And that can be controversial if you understand it. Or were we terrorists, or were we freedom fighters? Were we people that were really trying to get away from things, or were we just looking for a new way to make a buck? Well, that's for you to decide when you read your own history. I have my perceptions, I have my thoughts, and I have facts, okay? But what we're talking about here is what's in danger, and that is, of course, what everybody's talking about, and that's the Second Amendment, and what our stance is on that. And so by understanding that past, we should understand that if we care enough to make a statement, which there's a lot of people doing right now, and there's a lot of people that are uneducated that are doing it, and there's a lot of people that are educated, but they're not doing it correctly. And we see that. We don't need to name names or talk about networks or people that are doing it. It's out there. It's apparent. And a lot of it's driven off of negative energy, which is another thing that I'll talk about here at the end of this video. If you care to make a statement, you care to go on Facebook and make a post, if you care to start a website that says kill the NRA or kill the protectionist, or then care in a right way, care in a positive way. Do something that is actually constructive instead of destructive, which is, again, be the decline and the fall of this nation, which is happening. Whether you realize it or not, it is. And I'm not saying that from some anti-government perspective. I'm saying that from somebody that has put the foot to ask for their country for most of my life. I've lived or worked in over 40 countries. I know what it's like to have freedom and to not have freedom. I know what that appreciation feels like. A lot of these people out there making these fights don't. And I'm not going to say that you have to be in my shoes or some other military vet shoes, or somebody that sees horrible, evil things on a daily basis to have an opinion. No, not if it's educated, that's fine. But do your damn homework and stop being reactive. Okay? The past shows, fact 1 and 2 here, that government has always been harmful to personal freedoms. Okay? Not beneficial. It's always been harmful. and hurtful. Okay, harmful, hurtful, however you want to look at it. It is statistics, it's facts, it's history. Look at every country out there that they've always been hurtful in some way to personal freedoms. You look at the Balkans. Okay, I was in the Balkans. I know what Slobodan Milosevic, and I know what a front row seat ethnic cleansing looks like from there to West Africa, to East Africa, to Iraq, to Afghanistan. I understand what genocide is because I've seen it. I've seen 20 people getting shot on a daily basis, okay, in person. So I understand what evil is, and that's why I'm voicing my thoughts. So hopefully it helps you guys understand a little bit better. Stop and just think before you speak. The second thing is that understand what the Second Amendment is. There's so many people out there talking out their ass about what it is, what it isn't, and why we should have it, or it was different back then. Again, do your homework. Especially you people that are saying that, oh, it was different. Nobody could have ever expected the technology of today back then, 300 years ago. Well, I'll call bullshit real quick on that, because look at who our founding fathers were. Look what they invented. Again, this is not a history lesson, but some of those people are responsible for the technology that we have today. Okay? And so if you're telling me that they could have never foreseen this type of destruction in technology, well, actually, they were creating it back then. So don't be in denial. Don't be ignorant. Do your homework, okay? So those are the facts of the past, and those are just simple facts. And just kind of, wake-up calls, for lack of better terms, if you don't know the histories of our country and other countries as well, or faiths or religions. It's not my job to, or my lifestyle, I should say, to be a religious person. I'm not really. I study religion, though. I understand other cultures and other religions, so I understand what to teach people. Talking about environments that we might have to find ourselves in one day, creating a negative or a positive effect on people, we should understand what that culture is. We should understand their beliefs, and that's a good thing, okay? The more knowledge you have, the more power you have, the more tools you have at your disposal. And a lot of people right now are fighting with only one tool, and they think that's the tool that's supposed to win. It's not about gun issues. It's not about mental health issues. It's not about he said or she said or what Fox says or what CNN says or all the other networks. It's about what you think. It's about what you believe in, okay? And that's something that's very important. I know myself and my people underneath the Haley Strategic banner, our organization is a organization that knows what we stand for. We know who we stand with, and we know what we stand against. And we have to stand against things sometimes. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems with our gun industry, the defense industry, is that we are too quick to shift blame and never can admit our failure points, and are very absolute and don't stand against things sometimes. We want to hide and go away and just kind of, not say anything. And I'm an outcast for it. I'm a guy that's been looked at as, oh, you're an asshole because you're trying to prevent our product from launching. No, I'm trying to give you a reality check and let you know, based on my experience and people that I listen to, because I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I never have been. I never will be. And I will hopefully always be successful in life. Doesn't mean I have to make money. I measure my wealth in my family, my friends, and who I am, what I believe in, my values, my character. Because I am inseparable from what I communicate and what I act. And I will always stick to my core and never abandon it. And I pride myself on that. And you should too as an American. And that's what our founding fathers prided themselves on. Whether they were making the right decisions or the wrong ones, they were at least proud to be themselves and be free men. So understand history. Understand the past. Well, let's look at the future. What's of the future? I'll ask. Here's actually something great I thought of hiking up here. I was watching Nut and Fancy the other night, and on his video channel he has a series called, what the hell is it? Bear with me. It's the I'll think of it in a second. The Greater Good series, I think is what he called it. But he had a question in there that was followed up by a statement, and that statement was, let's just say there was a complete worst case scenario for us Second Amendment people, pro Second Amendment, and that the government came out and said, you know what, all guns are bad, turn them in. And we did. And we turned every single gun in, including our our Daisy Red Riders and our grandfather's rifle they brought back from World War I or II, and everything was gone. And it actually 100% made the world a safer place. America made our country a safer place. It increased public safety. So here's the question. Is tyranny worth that price? And when I heard him say that, I was put back in my seat for a second and said, you know what, that's a very, very good question. And I don't think people are asking themselves that, because that's exactly what it is. It's tyranny. As much as I hate to say it, as being somebody that has worked for the United States government most of my life, it's kind of what it's coming down to. If they decide to take every gun away from us or to restrict our rights to our personal freedoms, that is what the world's coming to. Okay? And no, in my eyes, in my heart, and what I've seen in the rest of the world, tyranny is not worth that. I've seen the tyrants. I've seen the mass graves, the genocide in North Iraq. I've seen the genocide in West Africa. I've had a front row seat to ethnic cleansing in Serbia and Kosovo. I don't want that here. But people say, whoa, whoa, Travis, you're getting a little carried away, man. This is the United States of America. That's never going to happen here. Well, people forget how young our country is. People forget how ignorant we are compared to the rest of the world, how naive we are, how inside our little bubble we are. And that's very dangerous. It's dangerous as a society. So wake up. Understand the past. Understand the future. And understand what's going on right now. And that's what I want to talk about next. What is current? Protectionists, absolute people, denial. Denial is a very, very powerful thing. I've learned that the hard way through Soldier's Heart, or what people consider PTSD. It's tough. It's something you don't want to ever admit, and you feel that you're stronger than that. And I think that's the way I was dealing with my personal battle with things. And I think that's what our country is doing right now. It's hard to believe that something so drastic, so possibly catastrophic could be actually happening to us because of everything that we have, everything that we take for granted and take advantage of on a daily basis. We forget, and we're in denial of something bad happening. We just want to stick our heads in a hole and not look and deal with the consequences. I don't think you want to deal with these consequences if something like this does happen, because it can be catastrophic. If I was to take a anti-gun person, protectionist person, and put them in a room, and here's the reality of the current situation from watching the media and people making comments. If I put you in a room with a gun on a table and a cell phone and your family, let's say you have a wife and a daughter, and a note was on that table that said, within a minute, a man's going to come in here, he's going to kill you and your family, but first he's going to rape your wife and daughter, and then he's going to cut their throats. And he's going to cut their throats to the point where they gurgle and they make the most horrible noises imaginable until they can't make those noises anymore. What are you going to do at that point when you put that note down on the table? I know what I would do. I'd pick up the gun, verify that it was loaded and how much I was in the mag, and I would slam the table up against the door, get on the hinge side, and then wait for somebody to touch that door. And then I would probably waylay 5 to 6 rounds through the door, making sure I still had plenty of ammo enough left to finish the job if I had to. Because I'm not defending my family anymore. I am offensively destroying you because you are taking something that is the most precious thing in the world to me. And yes, I will destroy somebody for that. Some people, unfortunately, and this is a reality, would probably grab the cell phone and start calling somebody. The fuck is that going to do? You call the cops when a guy's standing in your bedroom? Or they go and hug their wife and child one last time and then try to negotiate. Well, there's no negotiation. You saw the note on the table. The note said, fact, somebody's coming here and killing you in the next minute and raping your family. So it would be hard for me to believe that anybody would just grab the cell phone or hug their family and not grab that gun in that situation. Now let's look at it this way. Let's say you're the person that is pro-gun and you carry a gun. Maybe you're an off-duty police officer, okay? And you have a gun on you, and that note's on the table, but I walk in and say, I need your gun. Somebody's about to come in here and kill you. And I walked out with your gun. I just stripped your personal freedoms away to protect yourself and your family and the ones that you love. And I know that that's still going to be argumentative. People are still going to be in denial, and people are going to still try to negotiate with. And again, you say that would be an unrealistic scenario if we took all our guns away. There was no gun in that room. There was no guns at all. We'd be much safer. How is that? When evil people will commit any illegal act they want, which they do on a daily basis because they don't care. They will be evil and illegal to the point to where they will accomplish their goals. And you don't necessarily need a gun to do it. Because at that point, if I said, well, the guy's coming in with a pipe, you're probably still going to wish you had a gun. Okay? Negotiating mace or having another pipe is probably not going to work in that situation for you. So don't let people strip your personal protections away. And that's what that is. Okay? It's the same as if after the government takes all our guns, then they can easily say, well, you no longer have the right to practice your faith. Or you can't practice Catholicism anymore. You can't practice Christianity. You can't be a Mormon. You can't practice Islam. Oh, we have to take your little Buddha statue away. Oh, you can only have half of your Bible, and that's all you're allowed to read. What if I told you that? You'd sure as hell fight me then. So why wouldn't you want to protect your personal freedoms to prevent that from happening? That's just a question I threw out there, okay, that I continually ask myself to make sure I value my life and value what my rights are and understand what my rights are versus a privilege, okay? And people need to understand what the difference is there. A couple things I want to leave you with before we go here is a couple of lessons that I've learned in my life that really truly helped me. And before I get into that, we are going to continue business as usual. I think that's important for us all to do and not going out and panic buying guns and ammo and magazines. You know, some of you are going to say, yeah, right, I'm doing it anyways. I understand. I get it. Or somebody's saying, oh, you have all the guns and ammo in the world, Travis. Well, if worst case scenario comes, trust me, we won't have all the guns and ammo in the world to our availability. And so I'm thinking smarter. I'm not thinking harder. I'm not being reactive. I'm just thinking, trying to react in a positive way. Okay? Constructive, not destructive. First lesson is something that I learned is that not everything is what it appears, and that's a very important thing. And I was in West Africa, and I had a small child teach me a lesson that I'll never forget, and it was very funny. It was about a banana. Actually, it was about a banana, okay? And what's interesting about it is I was eating MREs, I was really hungry, and I saw this kid come in with a stock of bananas, and I said, oh man, let me get one of those. You know, it'd be awesome. So I grab a banana, and I start peeling it, and I hear chuckling coming from the peanut gallery over on the railing outside the little house we were in. And I look up, I'm like, what the hell are y'all laughing at? And the kid hops off, he comes over, he's like, you Americans, you guys think, you know, we had a really good relationship with these kids. We kind of took them in. Their parents were killed right before before we got there in the Civil War. So, and I still consider them my kids. But when he got up that railing and came over, he said, you guys think you're so smart with all your technology and stuff, but you don't even know how to eat a banana right. And I looked at him like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a banana. How the hell do you eat it? And he grabs it out of my hand, he takes it, and he pinches it, okay? Now, this is a pretty ripe banana, okay? So, as you can see, it's pretty green. And he takes it and pinches the top here, and then he just takes two peels. He peels it down, one on this side and then one on that side, okay? And that's it. So, if you ever watch a monkey eat a banana, that's how they do it. It's instinctual. We don't have to pick our bananas off a tree like a monkey does or a third world countries do. So when they do it and they pick a ripe banana, they do it instinctually because they know what the top of a banana is. We think the top is the stem. However, bananas grow this way. Okay, they grow what we consider upside down. Okay, so this being a ripe banana, if I try to peel that end, you know what would happen. You know, unless you ended up taking out my knife. But the point of the story is that when I was standing there, I felt like with all my gear on and my SATCOM and cameras behind me on the table, my Mitch helmet, and my, you know, all geared out, I felt like the dumbest individual in the world. And it was a huge wake-up call because it made me look at things in life differently. When somebody tells me something or even shows me something, hint, hint, of the news, of course, it's not what it appears most of the time. Okay, so educate yourself and find out about it. And sometimes it's just the simple things in life that you don't even see right in front of you. The last thing is positive. Be positive. Law of attraction. Okay, remember that. The law of attraction is something that's around us all the time. And if you walk outside, back home in Colorado, it's snowing, it's, 10 degrees out, and if I walked outside and said, God, this sucks, man, I gotta work outside today in this shit, and I keep walking, next thing you know, two kids go running by throwing snowballs at each other, having the best time of their life. So whose perception of the world that day sucks? Is it everybody else around you? Is it those kids that are having the best time of their life? Or are you just making excuses? So that's something that we need to do to put ourselves in check every once in a while. When you feel yourself getting frustrated, you feel yourself getting mad, especially you guys that are coming back from the war that are dealing with soldier's heart, man. It's not easy. And I know I'm talking to a lot of you out there right now. But when you feel yourself start to get out of control, put yourself in check. Have a positivity check. Start thinking, you know what? It ain't that bad. It's not that bad, okay? And I'll leave you with the last thing here. Based on that, not being that bad. I watched a video the other day, The Life of Duty with the NRA, and I saw Scott and Tom Spooner. And Scott said something, they're from Invictus. They said something that I'll never forget. It really hit me hard. Being an American, it's not a bad deal. And it's a great video if you get a chance to watch it. Very inspirational. Their whole Forward March series is very inspirational. But think about that. And I know some of you it's very hard to do, but I know being in multiple combat tours like those guys and living around the world and seeing the tyranny, seeing the evil, seeing the destruction, and the poverty, and the looks in kids' eyes, it was something that I love seeing. And that might sound like a sick thing, but I remember being one of those guys that I thought something was wrong with me. I'd sit overseas and I'd hear people whining and bitching about being there, or they're complacent. They've been there for 13 months. They just want to go home. They hate this place. And I look at them like, you accepted this. You took an oath to uphold and defend a higher standard of care for the entire world. And your job is to prevent things from happening. Your job is to prevent yourself from getting complacent. Your job is to put your personal freedoms and freedom of speech and all those other things you sacrifice to be there. So stop complaining. And I always thought that I was the outcast. I always thought that I was the oddball that was always away sick. Meaning that when I was home in the United States, I couldn't wait to get on the next deployment. I couldn't wait to go back overseas. And it wasn't until years later I was sitting at home. I was watching my kids in the backyard. And it was the thought of them being able to play in the backyard. As stupid as it sounds, that thought flashed 1,000 thoughts before my eyes of what I've seen in life. And that meant a lot. That justified why I was away sick. When I would be in a shithole third world country, dealing with evil and destruction and poverty, I appreciated what I had back home. Because when I got back home, I took it for granted. I took advantage of things. I went back to my lazy-ass American life with my lazy boy, my cable TV, my internet, and all the things that we feel are precious or, not even a luxury. It's a right to have that shit now. I see my kids playing with all the toys and shit in the world that they have everything they ever could need and want. In America, we have every opportunity to make something of ourselves. You go overseas and you'll see kids playing with a piece of wire they turned into a wheel and another piece of wire to roll it down the street, and there's 20 kids chasing it. And you put things in perspective really, really quick. And you realize, you know what? Yeah, it is a good deal. It's fucking awesome. So be true to yourself. Don't abandon your core. And fight for what you believe in. Because very soon, one day, it might be gone. Especially if we don't fight for it. Stay sharp, stay strong, guys, and be safe out there. I'm Travis Haley. Thanks for joining me.